Welcome to another episode of Fret Buzz the podcast. My name is Joe McMurray.
And I am Aaron Sefchick.
And today we have the keyboard synthesizer player from Papadosio, Billy Brouse, is joining us from Asheville, North Carolina. For our audience, I went and saw Papadosio performing in Virginia Beach, I don't know, 2-3 months ago at a newer venue called Elevation 27. And I was front row and had a blast and a half. And I've actually performed there before, and I knew where the band had to exit the building. And I snuck around back after the show and waited for somebody to come out. And Billy happened to be the first guy that walked out. And snagged him up. And yeah, we're excited to have you and to talk about, you know, keys and synthesizers and Papadosio and the jam band scene and festivals and all of it.
All right, man. Well, I want to say I'm glad I'm the one that you caught, and you should be glad too. Because I like to think of myself as the most fun.
The most fun person in the band?
Yeah, and none of them will watch this, so it doesn't matter. I can say that.
Yeah, we don't have to edit that out.
Oh, I'm just kidding. All right.
Who's the most boring person in the band? It's your brother, probably.
No.
I don't know Sam, so he may
Sam,
be awesome.
I'm actually the most boring person. Just depends on when you catch me, I think. And you caught me at the right time. The getting off stage energy is always a good time to catch someone.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Well, so we on this show we love to really dig into, deeper ideas of music, and one thing I want to just jump right into is we had one of the managers from the Moog factory in Asheville came on. And we've talked about synthesizers more from a technical standpoint, but we've not really had a piano player, have we, Aaron?
Not that I know of, no.
Yeah, so would love to talk about, I guess the best place to start is just, when did you start playing music? Was piano your first instrument? Yeah, let's go from there.
Well, that's actually a really good place to start, because I did not play piano originally.
Okay.
I played acoustic guitar. I was that kid around the campfire playing Jack Johnson or Dave Matthews.
Right.
You know, just because it was fun. I guess I actually started playing cello first.
All right.
But you remember, like, in elementary school when you were, hey, you can join orchestra, like, do it. Why not? And your parents were like, yeah, you're doing this. So I did it. And then I eventually turned the cello this way. I started playing, it was like 1994 when Green Day's hit album Dookie came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just turned it this way and started playing, like, power chords on the cello. And then realized that I was just playing guitar for the most part.
You needed a mandocello.
Yeah.
Would have been perfect.
Yeah. So I started playing guitar instead. And then my younger brother, Sam, I taught him how to play a couple chords. And, you know, he's pretty much my best friend in the universe. So he teaches me things, I teach him things. Taught him how to play guitar. Then he just, out of nowhere, just was amazing at the piano. My grandmother bought him a Yamaha digital stage piano. And he just went in the basement and went to town on it for like a year straight. I probably didn't see him for months. And then he came out of the basement and was like, hey, I play piano now. So he taught me how to play a couple songs. And then I realized that you can make whatever sound you want on synthesizers and keyboards. So I kind of stopped playing as much guitar and just started making sounds and samples, because it was very freeing to finally know what that sound was like in the Yes. Like I grew up listening to Yes. I never really knew what that sound was that was happening. And then I finally, once you figure it out, it's like, oh, cool. Well, this is what I'm doing. forever now.
Do
Kind
you
of how that happened.
did you jump like straight to more synthesized sounds, or did you play like clean piano? I mean, keyboard piano, whatever. But
Well, I played. I got the fundamentals on piano, and then, I mean, the story of how Papadosio basically formed is from me buying my first synthesizer in Athens, Ohio, and I met Anthony at a party, and I was like, "Hey, man, I've seen you playing in bands around town. I just bought this synthesizer. Uh, maybe we should hang out sometime." And he's like, "Cool, what is it?" I was like, "It's a Juno 106. I got it for $150, which is insane." And it was great. He's like, "Oh, cool, I'm about to buy one out of the classifieds tomorrow." I was like, no, I bought it. Like, this is it.
oh,
And I like to think that he wasn't using me just for that synthesizer, but that was my first synth experience was there, and Anthony and I dove into it, and
and he was
but yeah,
playing guitar then. I mean,
yeah,
he's still primarily guitar, right?
yeah. He was playing lead guitar in a couple bands in town, but once I like pushed the cutoff on that Juno, I was like, oh, all right, well, that's it. But yeah, before that, it was just piano
But
and acoustic guitar for the most part.
you said when you push the cutoff on the Juno, what does that
Yeah.
mean?
So the cutoff is the filter.
Hmm.
It cuts off it. Well, Juno has a high pass filter and a low pass filter. Once I push the low pass filter up, which is the wah, sound, I was like, that's it. Because once you make that first, because you can just using a filter, if it's the right filter on the right synthesizer, you can make it sound however you want. It's kind of like if you're playing guitar, like finger picking gently, like just plucking the strings more gently. It'd be like pulling the filter down.
Okay.
Kind of. And I never knew that you could do that. I mean, you can do it on piano if you play gently, but this was an electronic instrument. And before I touched the cutoff, I just thought it was just like this big box with keys on it,
Yeah, unfortunately I've never had like a real synth. I've got my little Yamaha keyboard over there that you might be able to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like that,
Oh yeah.
It's the old school PSR 282. It sounds terrible, but it
Whatever,
does
man.
fine.
It puts sound out.
Yeah, it definitely does that. It sounds cool if you hook it up to like an external reverb tank or something with some effects on it.
Everything sounds good through a bunch of reverb.
That's true.
Which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Sure.
Yeah, I'd love to get my hands on. I got to play some of the Moogs at the factory and like enjoyed myself playing like the Chameleon bass line on one of those.
That's actually the first song Sam taught me how to play.
That's
on
perfect.
Piano. And now I only play in B. Well, my favorite key is B flat because of that.
It is so simple and such a good bass line.
Yeah, and you can just tee off on it. It's great.
Yeah, as soon as you play that, like I played it last night at my show. As soon as you start playing that line, people turn their heads like, "Oh, I know this song." I don't know what it is. Like most people don't know what it is, but they love it. Herbie Hancock, he's a master. Still a master.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you listen to a lot of Herbie Hancock?
Not really.
It just seems like one of those first like early.
I mean, Headhunters. I have it on vinyl. Like I'll put it on.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those that I've listened to so many times that it can just be like NPR, in the background.
Yeah. That's awesome that your younger brother's the one that brought you around to the keys.
Yep.
Go ahead.
He went to school. He's like he went to Skidmore, up in New York
Mm-hmm.
for jazz theory,
Ah,
but then dropped out as any good jazz musician does. I would hope.
I kind of did that.
Yeah, there you go. And joined the band. My mother wasn't too happy about it. I think she's okay with it now. But,
Yeah, things turned out pretty good for him, seems like. So far.
I hope so.
Yeah, I remember one of our professors at George Mason in the jazz program, he told us, like, if you want to be a jazz musician in New York City, go to New York City and be a jazz musician. It's like you probably don't have to be in class here with me. Just go and find the best players and play with them.
I mean, there's only so much again, I have never taken like a jazz. I've taken music theory, but not like jazz theory. But it seems to me like any lesson I've ever given ended in that. Oh, is that what you want to do? Why don't you just go do it? Like, what are you doing here with me? I can't.
It's helpful to understand it all. When I'm improvising over, if somebody puts a chord progression, like take Chameleon, the B flat minor 7 to an E flat 7, you just know your options of what you can do to improvise over it, and so that you can keep it interesting. You don't run dry from ideas.
Right. No, I'm the same. Once you know that, though, there's like a whole other headspace that you have to get into to be able to improvise in front of people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, just doing it and just don't stop doing it.
You're talking about, like, when you're actually playing a show, like, rather than sitting there thinking about the theory, you have to be able to get into a totally different mindset. Can you expand on that?
Maybe it's just more of like the whole lifestyle that, like, if you want to be a jazz musician or any musician at all, no one can teach you how to be able to live that life. I think that's what I'm saying.
That's very true. You have to play you have to put, specifically practice jazz, listen to jazz.
Also, see how long you can be uncomfortable on tour. And if you can last until you're comfortable, then you did it. Way to go. Kind of thing.
Did you have a period where you were touring and you were not comfortable with Papadosio?
Just physically uncomfortable. Like, 5 shows a week, 6 shows a week in a van.
Ah.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Sleeping on floors and.
Do you guys still have to do that? Or do you have...
Dude, I'm 34. There's no way I could do that anymore. When I was like 22, it was great. But yeah, no. Definitely not sleeping on floors anymore.
You got, what, a hotel room, or do you have, like, do people house you?
Yeah, hotel room for the most part. Yeah.
That's a little fancier than the van.
Yeah. There's something nostalgic about floor sleeping, though. That was always fun.
So, how old were you when you met Anthony Thogmartin?
22, 23,
Okay.
22, 21, somewhere in there. I was in college. So.
Mm-hmm. And you were both in Ohio.
Yeah, we were all in Athens, Ohio.
Okay, so can you keep going with the story? Like, where did you got Anthony to play with you? How did the band become Papadosio from there?
Well, there was this bar / venue called Jackie O's. It's still there in Athens, and they had this thing called an open jam, which is like open mic, which I'm sure you've been to an open jam. And we just all kind of started playing together there.
You picked up other like bass player and drummer at the jam.
Kinda, yeah. Like they showed up. Mike, our drummer, was in this band called Skeleton Witch, who's like a huge, amazing black metal band now. Like
Uh-huh.
they're from Athens too. So he showed up and played. He can play anything. He's unreal. But he showed up one night, and Anthony and I were like, kind of looked at each other like during, during the jam where there's no rules. And so we ended up talking to him after, and then Rob was in a couple bands in Athens. Again,
Rob,
he
the
just
bass
showed
player?
up. Yeah, the bass player. And then he just showed up one night and played, and it all just kind of clicked. And then so we just kept going every Wednesday, and all of us would show up, and it just kind of became a thing.
And you were playing original music, or were you like that Anthony sang, or was it?
No, it was just all improvised instrumentals, pretty much. I mean, most of it was probably really bad, but like we were having fun, and it clicked, and a bunch of people started coming, and
Were you just like calling out a key or a chord progression and
yeah, pretty much.
going with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, so it started out from a place of fun and smiles, and then one day we were like, hey, let's just start a band, and we did, and we rehearsed for a year straight, like before we played any show, which was, I think, a good move. And I remember sitting down and we had the conversation where it was like, so this is what we're going to do. Are you guys in? Because we're going to do this. Because, I mean, I was going to school, but I wasn't going to school for music. But we had the conversation. We're like, let's go. And here we are.
Wow.
It's kind of weird to think about looking back on it, honestly. But
It takes a lot
I think
of
every
guts.
band needs to have that conversation if you're going to do it. Be like, you ready? Because we're going to do this. This is it. Nothing else. Let's go. And luckily, we were young enough.
What constituted let's do this? What was that like? What was that decision about? Like, what we're just gonna go on the road, or we're gonna what did that like that decision of let's do this? Because obviously, like you said, that's a very serious conversation that all band members need to be on board with. But what took you from point A to point B?
Well, I mean, that was point B was a couple years after point A, obviously. It was more like, so this is our job, and you're not going to go work for a bank somewhere,
Right,
get
right.
your MBA. This is it.
But so previous to this discussion, were you guys doing tours outside of?
No.
So that decision was we're going to start touring now, or
no? We're going to start a band and we're going to make this happen.
And that takes a lot of guts.
Basically, it wasn't that we hadn't played a show really. Maybe we played like 2 shows. Maybe it was like a year and a half into knowing each other and having the confidence to be able to have that conversation. I think.
You just knew that you had rehearsed your material and you really thought you had something that could, make you money or, get big.
I didn't know that we would get big, but I knew that, speaking for me, that I had a really great time doing it, and the friendship was there, which is pretty much, that's the biggest thing. You
right.
gotta have that. So that was all there, and yeah, I think we all figured, like, why not? Like, what else are we gonna do? I don't know.
So how did you decide you're gonna be a band and do this full time, did you then, you didn't have any shows on the books, it sounds like. How did you start getting shows? Did you record any was it McGreenery, the first album? And then start promoting that to clubs? Did you start locally and build outwards? Did you get a booking agent?
No, well, we did everything ourselves at first for a long time. Like I said, we rehearsed, like I said, like for about a year. And our first show was in Kent, Ohio, which is where I'm from originally, not in Athens. We figured we'd try it out somewhere else other than our college town. And it went well. And then we just, Anthony was really, you know, let's go. And he was basically he was reaching out to a lot of people. I knew some people, and we just did it that way for like 3 years maybe. And then we got a booking agent, and that was, you know, that was great. We didn't have to hustle to get gigs anymore, even though we kind of still did. But you know,
Were you playing like local clubs? Like when I was playing, I was in a few bands in Washington, D.C., and we're mostly playing original music, and some of it definitely got into jam band territory. So not the kind of thing that like your typical, you know, bar with party bar wanted. You know, we weren't playing cover songs and, you know, top 40 or
good.
90s rock, whatever. So yeah, so we had to play these places where we actually, they'd pay you based on how many people you brought and that sort of thing. So we, you know, it was difficult because even your best friends don't want to come see you that often, and so you end up teaming up with other bands to split the bill. Did you
Right.
guys do that kind of thing?
Sure. We also just played original music the whole time though. I'm trying to. We never like we split the bill with local acts, of course, and never really burned any bridges, which is
Hmm.
very, very important. Um, we never played, you know, top 40 songs, and I'm not trying to talk shit on that because I mean writing a pop song is definitely not easy. I've tried to do it. It's hard. Um, but yeah, there was a point, I think, that when my friends, like, I stopped recognizing people in the audience, you know what I mean? Was when I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
They're not just coming because they're my friend, which was really nice. And I still don't really believe it. Like, I see people out there, I'm like, they're just coming because we're friends or whatever. I don't know. That never really went away.
Yeah, it's gotta be nice to, you know, anywhere you go, there are people that come out and they're just like super pumped to
Well,
spend
not
the evening.
everywhere.
What are there certain hot, I mean, obviously I'm sure places like Asheville are good for it, but are there certain dead spots in the States?
Yeah, Kansas,
Huh. That makes sense.
Nebraska. Aaron, sounds like you've been to Kansas.
There's a whole lot of corn in Kansas.
And I'm not trying to talk that much shit on Kansas, but I'll talk a little bit of shit on Kansas. Yeah, there's dead spots, and there's dead spots during the week too. You know, like it's nice to have the luxury to be able to say no, we're not going to play Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday in a certain town. But we didn't, you know, we didn't used to. We've played Monday in Fargo. We've played Tuesday in Lincoln, Nebraska. You know what I mean? And that's what I was talking about when I said, like, it's great to be able to improvise for sure, obviously, but playing on Tuesday night in Lincoln, Nebraska your first time there, no one can teach you how to be able to handle the fact that there's not going to be anybody there, and you're going to have to find a floor to sleep on. You'll probably make some great friends in the process, but you're not going to make any money, and it's going to suck. But you're going to get through it. You know what I mean?
Hopefully, just enjoy the performance.
Yeah, for sure.
Hanging out with your friends.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, really. Aaron, which one of those guitars is your favorite guitar?
Probably my Strat.
Nice.
Yeah, I enjoy that one the most. That's the one I've put the most hours behind.
I think that's the only one I've ever seen you perform on.
Yeah, it's the only one I really trust.
You gotta have. I have a keyboard that I trust, and I have to have it all the time.
What are you playing now?
Well, my go-to is an Access Virus TI. It's just I can load all of my patches on there, no matter, like, if I get a backline one at a festival. Just use my computer here and load everything right on there, and it's like it's the same one that I have.
Yeah.
You gotta have that. If I don't have that, then I'm not playing the show, basically.
So, I guess I have a question in terms of how do you guys, specifically you and your brother, how do you guys kind of interweave between each other? How does that communication go so you guys don't really trample on top of each other?
Well, sometimes it doesn't work, the
Right.
communication. It's really tough. Well, he plays more of, piano and Wurlitzer and Rhodes sounds.
All
So
right.
I try to stay away from those.
All right.
Um,
Are you more like strings and pads and whatnot?
yeah, strings, pads, and leads, and yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And percussive things. Like if we do an acoustic set, he plays piano, I play vibraphone.
Okay.
That makes sense. Like vibraphone can have a wonderful background sound or right in the front sound, which is how I try to play my synthesizers. I can, it's time to not do the pad. All right, then let's go. Let's make it happen. But I'm just kind of there, not backing everyone up all the time, but we also have talkback microphones, which is really great, so that we can. I'm like, all right, Sam, I'm gonna take one right now. So chill on B flat, probably.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
And the crowd can't hear that,
right?
Which is great. That was a game changer. But I honestly, at this point, I don't think we would even need that. We've done shows without it, and it's worked out.
On average, how many shows a year do you do? Shot in the dark.
Right now, probably, let's say 2019, I would say 90. Shot in the dark, 90.
Okay.
I'm really bad at math. So,
but those are big. I mean,
not all of
them. It actually doesn't sound, I guess to me, it doesn't sound like that many shows, but a Red Rocks performance is worth like a lot more than one show in my book.
Yeah, and a lot of gray hairs too. It's a crazy one. But I mean, we used to do, like 200.
Yeah.
For, like, 6 years, 7 years in a row. Yeah, I'd say about 90. I'm not entirely positive.
Okay.
Other than Red Rocks, what are some of the biggest shows, festivals that you guys are playing this year?
Well, the biggest one, the one that I'm going to preface this by saying, like, we've played a million festivals. I love festivals, but now I like our festival. I like to be able to be comfortable at a festival, give them, a nice sound check. And that's why I like Resonance. Resonance will be the biggest one we play this year for a reason, because we care about it. Like, if you want to book me at your festival, book us at your festival, we'll come play it, but it won't be the same as something that you have a hand in. You know what I mean?
Where is this festival?
It used to be in Columbus, Ohio, and now it's moved to Pennsylvania. I actually haven't been to the grounds yet.
What part of Pennsylvania?
It's like in between Cleveland and Pittsburgh, so it's west of Pittsburgh.
Okay. So not too far from
Yeah.
No,
Ohio.
not at all. It's Cooper's Lake is what the new grounds are called.
Cooper's Lake.
Cooper's Lake.
Is it like a big campground or farm or?
Yeah. Well, the only thing I know about it is that you know what LARPing is?
No.
Live action role playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever done it, but I.
Right. Well, you
Definitely heard of
you don't have to say it on air if you don't want.
LARPing? I'm not afraid to say it on air.
I know. I'm just kidding. But there's been like a LARPing festival there for like 20 years or something, I guess.
Okay.
And so in my mind, like, they want to be comfortable, and like, if you're gonna beat the shit out of each other with swords, like, you want to be able to do it in nature and have a nice cabin, and there's a lake there. So I think I trust nerds, basically, is what I'm saying. So, and the guys who throw the festival with us have been there, and I trust them. There won't be a gravel dance area, which is very important.
That there won't be?
There will not be, because the place that Resonance used to be, where the crowd was, it's just gravel, and nobody wants that. So, at least I don't. I don't go to festivals that much anymore, but I guess.
You want grass?
Yeah, dude. Hippies like grass.
It's true, because if you're barefoot,
Right.
It's a little uncomfortable to dance on gravel.
And you don't want to get a rock stuck in your T-bones, dude.
Yeah.
Birkenstocks. Sure.
LARPing. That cracks me up. I mean, I'm totally cool with that. I love Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. I've just never actually gone as far as, dressing up.
I mean, I haven't either, but I mean, I would, I guess. I'll try anything once. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if my wife would be happy if I did that.
If you LARPed?
If I LARPed.
If you told me when you get done with this, you should be like, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna go LARP tonight." She'd probably think it's like some weird slang.
Oh yeah. That's when you first said it. I had no idea what it was.
Well, I'm showing my my nerdiness with that then.
So you guys are teaming up to do this with another set of guys, or so is this something that you guys are putting on, or how are you, because you're putting a lot of emphasis in terms of how the Resonance is going to be something that you're very proud of, and it's the big one for you guys. Is, like I said, is this something that you're teaming up with another set of guys to do, or?
Yeah. The production company is called Essential Productions. They're based out of Cincinnati. They've been friends of ours for a long time. If you've ever seen us in Cincinnati, that's who put the show on. It's really hard to throw a festival as a band, just the band. And we used to do that. It was called Rootwire, and it was great. It was a magical time. I think it helped that we were so young and didn't really care about money, and didn't care about anything. But now we have other people who do care about those things. So we can put our creative spin on it and not have to worry about the back end as much, which is amazing. And I can't even believe I'm saying that don't know if I've said that yet, but it's they give us, luckily, some control over certain things, and some control. We don't get all of it, obviously, but we're trying to make festivals eclectic again, not have, and I'm not trying to talk on any festival. That is not what I'm trying to do. I am just a little bit jaded. I've been to every single one, and I've played most of them, and we just kind of want to, mix it up a little bit again.
Like mix up the types of music that are being played.
Types of music and for the most part, I would say, yeah. And again, like, I don't get to choose everything that's there, because if I did, no one would come. It would be like me and you, and and that'd be great too, but we wouldn't make any money.
It's so fascinating to me because you guys are like the quintessential festival sound in my head. Like,
are we?
That, yeah, I mean, to me, that kind of like late night, it's, you guys play this like space rock jam band. It's this electronic fused improvisation music. It's like what I imagine a bunch of people like swaying and bobbing their heads to in the woods, and at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, then it makes sense that we would have some sort of creative control over a festival.
Yeah, but it's
Right.
interesting to me that you guys being the sound that I hear in my head for a festival, you are trying to change that, mix it up.
Well, like, I don't know what you think kind of music I listen to, but like, I listen to weird stuff, man. Like, there's a reason why we play accessible weird music, I would say. And yeah, I know that we do have that sort of sound. There's a reason for that. It's because all of us listen to, on our own time, weird stuff. But then when it all comes together, we try to make it accessible for each other in the band, and then accessible for that kid over there who is tripping his balls off for sure and doesn't want to hear some Miles Davis right now. You know what I mean? Like, I dig it. He doesn't want to hear Square Pusher right now because his head will explode, I don't know. It's and thank you for saying that we are that band that you think of as the late night head bob band.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
I love it. I have an extremely eclectic musical, I listen to such a variety of music. I'll go from listening to like, I think I was listening to some Hawaiian slack key guitar yesterday on the way to my show, and then I was like, I need to get my voice right, and I put on some like Darius Rucker for a couple songs, and then I listened to a Papadosio song. I think I listened to some Grant Green.
Who's Grant Green?
He's one of my favorite jazz guitarists.
Oh.
You'd appreciate him because he
kind
of at the forefront of that, when jazz was starting to get more into like there was a lot of vamps, like Chameleon, that kind of stuff. Like he played a lot of straight ahead stuff with a very, very bluesy edge to it.
He's got the E355. That's my favorite guitar ever.
55 or the 35?
E3, whatever the hollow body Gibson.
Yeah. I play a 335 typically. It's a great guitar.
It's the best, dude. I love this.
It's so versatile because you can go from like beautiful, clean, woody sounds to like, you can put some overdrive on it or effects in it. It stands up well in a live show.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's very versatile.
Yeah, Grant Green. He does. If you listen to his new Funk in France album, a lot of cool jams.
Is he still alive? It looks, all these pictures are old as fuck.
He's gone, sadly.
Okay. Oh.
His son is not. I don't know if his son's name is Grant Green Jr. son's out there playing.
Good.
Yeah, so I appreciate a huge variety of music, and I know Aaron as wide or wider than my musical interest range, but you guys do a great job with the festival music. But when you talk about bringing in other acts, are you talking about going? You mentioned like listening to weird music. Do you want to bring in weirder music, or are you trying to bring in the whole spectrum from like you're more, more of a rock band all the way to, you know,
Yeah,
strange stuff?
I would say if I had my druthers, I would have just for that one kid who's out in the audience, who's it's his first festival or whatever. Um, I want him or her to experience the whole gambit of music. Like, you're gonna hear some stuff that you don't like, but you're also gonna hear some stuff that you really like and you didn't know existed. Like, so at Resonance, there's this band, Black Moth Super Rainbow. Have you listened? You know
No.
who that is? They're playing at Resonance, and it's kind of like if Brian Wilson took more LSD and did more synthesizer work, and then didn't do harmonies as much. Pet Sounds could have gone a whole different way, and I'm not saying like Black Moth sounds like the Beach Boys. I don't know. It's just like 60s psychedelia, but happening now. Um, and some of it is accessible and some of it is not. But there should be some music that's not accessible. Like you should be not forced to listen to it, but it it there should be different time signatures. There should be different keys.
Mm-hmm.
There should be some stuff that makes you question whether you like the music or not. Like, it shouldn't just be four on the floor the whole time. It shouldn't just be in C major the whole time or whatever.
Absolutely.
So like, and I'm not saying that other festivals or necessarily that Resonance will do that. I'm saying if I had my way, I would have like a Square Pusher set where it's just him. It's not Show Leader 1. It's just Square Pusher being a weirdo and freaking people out. Like, I like that. I like being backstage and looking at people and thinking, why do I like this? I don't know if I like this. That's perfect. I love when that happens. So.
I used to lead backpacking trips when I was in college near Asheville and kind of near Brevard, which is where my parents live. So we would go out in the woods, and the teaching philosophy was always that, everyone's got a green zone of things they're comfortable doing, a yellow zone where they're uncomfortable but not freaked out, and then there's like their red zone where they're just like so uncomfortable that it's no longer productive.
Yeah.
And the idea was that you always wanted to be pushing people into that yellow zone of like,
it's like clipping on a mixer. You want to be.
yeah, you definitely don't want to clip unless that's what you're going for. But yeah, you want to like, I find I teach a lot, I have 25 students each week, and I have this like 8-page listening guide, and I have the kids listen to different music every week. And I'll figure out what they tend to like, and then I'll try to push those bounds. But like, if they're into the Allman Brothers, I don't necessarily want to have them listen to like, Miles Davis, but I might have them listen to some like later Grant Green or Kenny Burrell, something that's like, different enough that it expands their boundaries, but doesn't like just blow their mind in a bad way.
Right.
And so then like the next time, a month later, they've been listening to this stuff that they used to think was crazy, and now they're used to it. And then I put the Miles Davis on them. So I do like when a good music festival, like I was down at Jazz Fest in New Orleans.
That's a
and-
whole different story there.
Yeah, but I mean, there's everything, and you just, you might not be comfortable with something, but once you've heard a little bit of it, it starts to get in your head, and you might
Yeah,
become
and
a
even if
fan.
even if you don't like it, you listen to it, and you're exposed. It just helps to shape who you are as a musician or as a music fan. It's
Yeah,
it's it's good.
there's always something you can learn or take away from any music that's played well, like if that the musician cares about.
Yeah.
I can appreciate. Have you started using the listening guide, Aaron? Do you have your students listen to things?
Yeah, yeah, obviously, sure. As a teacher, that's part of your job. I mean, just kind of exposing students to new stuff, even
What
if
do you
they're
what do you have them listen to?
oh, it does the gambit.
Gambit?
It doesn't matter if it's smooth jazz or metal, or if it's jam band stuff, or it's just classic rock or classical or EDM. It doesn't matter. Kind of taking the student and saying, okay, well, try to listen to it, and it's not just a matter of just listening. I'm because I'm an engineer, I try to get them to listen to music a little bit differently and try to pull out different instruments and listen for specific things and kind of do an ear training exercise. Sometimes I'll pull up a Pro Tools file and I'll isolate certain tracks, and then I'll pull the band back in, and just kind of get them to kind of train their ear to focus in on certain aspects of a mix.
Hmm.
I think that's extremely important, that no matter who you are as a musician, that you can kind of train your ear to listen to music and pull certain things out. I mean, it's important to be able to listen to a song overall and have that overall aspect of how the song sounds overall.
Well, that's what the mix is. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
that's that's a whole different story. That I was gonna say. I see you're in the studio. Like how I know you're the one supposed to be interviewing me, but I wanted to ask you:
Yeah.
Are you able to go to a show and just enjoy it for music's sake, or do you find yourself critiquing the mix and seeing like, I wonder what plugins he's using on that Digico 8 or
Yeah, I don't go that far, just because in the end it doesn't really matter. It all comes down to, does it sound good, and
right.
is everybody having a good time? Yeah, I play both sides. I definitely just enjoy listening to the music. I mean, I love going to a concert or a festival or whatever it is, and just kind of sitting back and just absorbing it all. Sure. But there's also that engineer aspect of it. Maybe a song or a part of a song or whatever, I'll just kind of start thinking about exactly what a specific person is doing, or how they're getting their sounds, or maybe maybe the drummer's doing something really cool, or maybe the guy on keys has got some kind of weird effect, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I'll wander up to the front of the stage and
Yeah.
kind of try to look exactly what's going on. Maybe he's going through some filters or something like that.
I don't stand next to anyone in the band at shows anymore because I want to enjoy it. And if I'm standing next to Anthony or something, like we'll just be like, I wonder what he's using.
Mm.
And I should just enjoy it and shut up. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Since we're on that, what you just said about not standing next to anybody, you guys have, I've never seen another band that's set up quite like you do in this arc around the
Mhm.
stage. I think it's amazing because it seems to set up the idea that nobody is more important than anybody else because nobody's standing out in front. It's really cool, and the fact that you can kind of look across the arc and see other players. How did you guys start doing that?
Well, I think what you just said, like everyone can see everybody. That's very important. Even if you have a talkback mic, it's important. Like eye contact is, you know, is way more important. Because I could be playing a wrong note or whatever, and somebody would be like,
Yeah, the evil eye.
yeah. I don't know. I think it just came from being wanting to see everyone. Being able to see our drummer is very, very important, obviously, in any band. Also, I don't think I don't want to be up front. I don't know. I did. I back in the day, I used to be up front, and I don't know. I don't know what. I'm not like Eddie Van Halen. You know, like I don't know. I just want to play music, and I want people to enjoy it. And I don't have like the crowd work. I guess like I don't say anything on the microphone. I'll sing, but like I don't want to talk to the crowd. I don't look at the crowd. And our bass player Rob used to be up front in the middle for a long time, and I don't think he wanted to be up there. And I totally get it. Like I said, I don't want to do it either. So, and it was hard to see him too. You know, if I don't want, he has a nice looking butt and everything, but like I don't want to just look at his ass all the time. I'd rather look at him in the eyes straight this way. So that's where that came from, I think. It also is, it's good, like if you're on tour and you have a support act to leave some space. Because I hate being the guy that's like, yeah, I can't move anything. I'm sorry. Because I can't.
Yeah.
I can move a couple things, but there's just so many wires involved and so many wires across the stage. Like we're all linked up in certain ways that if one thing were to get unplugged, that's like 5 minutes at the beginning of the show that somebody has to come up on stage and help us figure out what's going on. And I'm done doing that. Like we did that at the one and only time we played Bonnaroo and probably will ever play Bonnaroo. That happened. Like I was on stage. We were on stage for like 20 minutes and couldn't get shit
That's
figured
brutal.
out. It was terrifying, dude. So that's why we don't move shit and like, you know, and I want to leave room for other musicians. That's, you know, that's part of playing with other people physically if you're playing with them on stage or if they're opening up for you or you're opening up for them. You leave room for people. So the arc helps with that and helps with eye contact, sure, and helps to keep our setup intact.
Nice. So with your band, I mean, when I listen, I do hear lots of like kind of prog rock influences. You guys are. I was just listening to Tetios, and I listened to some of your first album, the McGreenery, and some of the newest one. And there's some, there's some definite similarities from album to album. Like you a lot of times you'll put the like an old guy from like the old talking from the 50s, like talking about like scientific stuff will be like underneath the music, which is pretty cool. But you guys are really good at coming up with these little catchy melodic lines and developing those ideas. Can you talk about how, when you're writing songs, what's the process you guys go through? Because a lot of these songs don't have vocals. And how has that process changed over the years?
Well, I can tell you how we write a song together, which isn't that different from how any band writes a song together. I think I've never really been in any other bands, but like, let's say I wrote a song and you and Aaron were members of the band. I would put the bare bones of it down in Ableton Live and record your parts, but not. They don't have to be your parts. This is just a suggestion, and we go from there. If the song has lyrics, there's more of a structure. I think I know, at least for us. Most songs I've written are just instrumentals because I don't trust myself with lyrics. So you know how that is with even just writing anything. But anyway, yeah, the process is just laying out a pre-recorded Ableton session basically, and being like, here's what I think. I think your part could go like this. I welcome your input on it because I don't play bass, but I wrote a bass line. You know what I mean? Here it is. Take it and do what you will. If I think that it's not meshing with what I wrote in the way that I wanted the song to feel, and then I'll say something. But usually I don't have to. If one of us writes a song that's like, this is how it is, and this is how it's going to be, usually it has lyrics, and there's a headspace behind it where if it's coming from someone else to me, I will respect that and be like, okay, cool, let's do it. And then I'll change it live later on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not really, but we use this program called Splice. I don't know. Are you familiar with Ableton Live?
I use Ableton.
All right. Are you on Splice?
I'm not on Splice. You can share, right? Your files.
Just the whole set. So like I could send you right now a set, and you can see exactly how I've made the song and like what edits I've done.
Oh,
just
that's really
how
cool.
I'm looking at it on my screen. You look at it, and then you can save it as something different. But not really make any changes, and then suggest, hey, I did this, take it or leave it. So then by the time you get into rehearsal for that song or that album, which we've done before, it's not a surprise. Obviously we talk about it, but it's honestly probably the most powerful writing tool that we have. It's just to be able to share stuff, even though we live in the same town. Space is space, but it is right there. So you can go eat a cheeseburger after you listen to the song. You can't eat a cheeseburger at rehearsal. So.
I mean, the idea that you could, you get inspired one night and you could sit there and spend hours figuring out your part and send it over to the other guys.
Yeah.
Working on the session yourself seems like an efficient way to do it.
It's amazing. It's free.
Yeah, you're not sitting in the studio where everybody's like waiting for you to...
Yeah, I mean, the first studio time we ever bought was this past album. Ever.
That was the Coma, what's it
Content
called?
Coma.
Content Coma.
Yeah.
Why did you guys decide to go to the studio?
Well, we all wanted like a real studio drum sound. I think is what the underlying thing is. Like we've built drum rooms in the past,
Right.
But there's just that's not my job to record drums. Like somebody gets paid to do that. That is their specialty. And so we all kind of wanted to experience that for the first time. So I think it worked out really well.
It sounds great.
Yeah, if you listen to the drums on that, and then listen, McGreenery, we shouldn't talk about McGreenery. I can't believe you listened to that.
I really liked it.
We didn't know what we were doing at all. But if you listen to even Tedio's, the drums on Tedio's, we built a drum room for, bought microphones. Everything we've ever recorded is always on Ableton, even content. And we just mixed it ourselves. Send it off for mastering, because if you master your own stuff, what are you doing?
Hey, we just had Chris Graham of Chris Graham Mastering was on. I think it's episode 50, talking about mastering. If any of our listeners out there want to learn more about mastering or why they should master their songs, he has some great information.
Yeah, send it off to Chris Graham or Anthony Thogmartin.
Well, there you go.
Anthony is and I trust him to master our songs, but you can't master your own songs. Like you have to have somebody else, and that's another reason why we went in the studio, right? Is to have someone else's input. Even if you don't go with what they're suggesting, it's good to just have other voices in the conversation, I think.
And that is where we're going to leave it for today. Join us next Thursday as we get into part 2 with Billy Brouse of the band Papadosio. As usual, if you are enjoying what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button, pop on over to iTunes, give us a review, support us on Patreon, and head on over to YouTube. We only need a couple more to hit 100 subscribers. Woohoo! So if you haven't subscribed over at YouTube, go ahead and do so. We would really appreciate it. Lastly, I want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening. That's in itself is awesome. You are awesome. Music is extremely special to all of us, and it's crazy in terms of we get to listen to all of these professionals' lives and peer into their decisions and their craft and understand how passionate they are about what they do, and that's awesome. It's so cool to be able to hear all these people's musical journeys. That's awesome. So I hope you find this valuable. I know I do. And I'm just genuinely happy that you're listening. Thank you. So that's where we're going to end it. Join us next Thursday for part 2 with Billy Brouse of the band Papadosio on Fret Buzz, the podcast.